The medical establishment spent decades telling older adults that walking is the gold standard for longevity and mobility. Thousands of people over 65 dutifully logged their 10,000 steps believing they were doing everything right. But recent findings from rehabilitation medicine and orthopedic surgery reveal something most doctors never mention during those quick annual checkups. Walking alone can actually leave critical movement patterns untrained. And for a growing number of people past retirement age, those gaps are showing up as falls, fractures, and a sudden loss of independence that catches families completely off guard. The numbers are more alarming than most realize. Every year in the United States, 1 in 4 adults over 65 experiences a fall, and 20% of those falls cause serious injury, broken hips, head trauma, or worse. Here is what makes this especially frustrating. Many of those individuals were active walkers. They hit their step goals. They felt healthy, yet the moment they stepped off a curb wrong or reached for something on a high shelf, the body failed them. Why does this keep happening to people who move every day? The answer lies in something called multiplanar movement. Walking is fantastic. It builds endurance and keeps your heart strong, but it only trains your body to move forward and backward in one plane of motion. Real life does not work that way. You twist to check your blind spot in the car. You sidestep to let someone pass in a narrow hallway. You rotate to grab your seatbelt. You reach overhead to pull down a suitcase. Every one of those actions requires strength, balance, and coordination in directions that walking never touches. When those movement patterns go untrained, the nervous system loses its ability to react quickly, and that is when falls happen. Surgeons who specialize in hip and knee replacements see this every week. Patients come in after a fall, and the conversation always includes the same confession. I was walking every day. I thought I was doing everything right. Today, we are going to walk through a 5-minute exercise routine that addresses exactly what walking misses. It trains rotation, lateral movement, single-leg balance, and dynamic stability. It requires no equipment, no gym membership, and no prior fitness experience. It was designed with input from orthopedic surgeons and physical therapists who work exclusively with older adults recovering from fractures and joint replacements. The goal is not to replace walking. Walking is still valuable. The goal is to fill the gaps that walking leaves wide open. By the end of this video, you will understand why this short routine can be more protective against falls than 30 minutes of walking, and you will know exactly how to perform each movement safely in your own living room. We are covering 5 exercises in ascending order of impact. Number 5 is the simplest. It takes 30 seconds and retrains a reflex most people lose after age 60 without ever noticing. Number 2 is going to surprise you because it involves no movement at all. Yet it rebuilds the ankle stability that prevents twisted joints and sudden stumbles. And number 1 is the single most important exercise a surgeon can recommend for anyone over 65 who wants to stay out of the emergency room. It mimics the exact moment when most falls occur, and it teaches your body how to recover before you hit the ground. Before we dive in, drop a comment below and let everyone know how old you are and where you are watching from. The community here is incredible, and it helps to see how many of us are working on the same goals no matter where we are in the world. Let us start with number 5. Number 5 is weight shifts. This is the foundation. Stand next to a sturdy counter or the back of a heavy chair, something you can lightly touch for balance if needed. Feet should be hip-width apart. Now slowly shift your weight onto your right foot. You are not lifting the left foot off the ground yet. You are simply unloading it so that if someone slid a piece of paper under your left heel, it would move freely. Hold that position for 3 seconds. Feel the muscles in your right ankle, calf, and hip working to keep you steady. Then shift your weight onto your left foot and repeat. Do this 10 times, 5 shifts per side. The entire drill takes about 30 seconds. Why does this matter? Weight shifting is the first thing your nervous system does when you start to lose balance. If you step on uneven pavement or your foot catches on a rug, your body has to rapidly transfer weight from one leg to the other to avoid a fall. But after decades of moving mostly forward in a straight line, that reflex gets sluggish. Analysis from fall prevention clinics shows that older adults who cannot smoothly shift their weight from side to side have more than double the risk of a lateral fall, the kind that lands you on your hip. Hip fractures in people over 70 have a one-year mortality rate that hovers near 20%. That is not because the fracture itself is deadly. It is because the immobility that follows triggers pneumonia, blood clots, and a cascade of complications that too many people do not survive. Let me tell you about Diane. She is 71, a retired librarian from Oregon who loved her morning walks along the river trail. 2 years ago, she tripped on a tree root and fractured her pelvis. The doctors told her she was lucky. The break was stable. No surgery required, but during her rehab, the physical therapist asked her to shift her weight side to side, and Diane realized she could barely do it. She would wobble, grab for support, and feel her ankle rolling inward. The therapist explained that her daily walks had kept her heart healthy, but had done nothing to train lateral stability. For 6 weeks, Diane practiced weight shifts every morning, 10 reps, 30 seconds. Within a month, she could shift smoothly without touching the counter. Within 2 months, she was hiking again. She told me the exercise felt almost too simple to matter, but it retrained a reflex her body had forgotten. Here is your protocol. Stand beside your kitchen counter every morning while your coffee brews. Feet hip-width apart. Shift right, hold 3 seconds. Shift left, hold 3 seconds. 10 total reps. If you feel unstable, keep one fingertip on the counter. As you improve over the next 2 weeks, try lifting the unloaded foot a ½ inch off the ground during the hold. That progression turns a weight shift into a single-leg balance drill, which brings us to number 4. Number 4 is single-leg stance. This is where we start to directly challenge your balance system. Stand beside the same counter or chair. Lift your right foot a few inches off the ground. Your knee should be bent comfortably. Do not hike your hip or lean to the side. Keep your torso upright and your gaze fixed on a point straight ahead. Hold this position for 20 seconds. Then switch legs. Repeat twice per side. Total time is about 90 seconds. Single-leg balance is one of the most researched predictors of fall risk in older adults. Studies from major rehabilitation centers consistently show that anyone over 65 who cannot stand on one leg for at least 10 seconds has a significantly higher chance of falling within the next year. The reason is straightforward. Every time you walk, you are briefly on one leg. Every time you step over an obstacle or climb a stair, you are balancing on one foot. If that stability is missing, even the simplest daily task becomes a hazard. But here's what most people miss. Balance is not just about strength. It is about sensory input. Your feet, ankles, and hips are loaded with tiny receptors that tell your brain where your body is in space. When you spend all day sitting or only moving forward on flat ground, those receptors stop sending sharp signals. Your brain gets lazy. It stops making the rapid micro-adjustments that keep you upright when the ground is uneven or when you turn your head suddenly. Single-leg stance wakes those receptors back up. It forces your ankle to make dozens of tiny corrections every second. It teaches your hip stabilizers to fire without you thinking about it. Over time, your nervous system relearns the skill of automatic balance, and that is the skill that keeps you safe when you are distracted, tired, or moving in dim light. Paul is 68, a former high school coach from Texas. He prided himself on staying active. He walked 5 miles most mornings and did light resistance training twice a week. But last spring, he slipped getting out of the shower and broke his wrist catching himself. During his follow-up visit, the orthopedic surgeon asked him to stand on one leg. Paul could barely manage 8 seconds before he had to put his foot down. The surgeon was blunt. Your legs are strong, but your balance system is not getting trained. If you fall again, and it is your hip instead of your wrist, we are looking at surgery and months of rehab. Paul started practicing single-leg stance every day, 20 seconds per leg, twice through. He did it while brushing his teeth. Within 3 weeks, he could hold 30 seconds per side without wobbling. Within 2 months, he was balancing with his eyes closed. He has not slipped since. Here is your protocol. Every evening before bed, stand beside your bathroom counter and lift one foot. Hold for 20 seconds, switch. Repeat twice per side. If 20 seconds feels impossible, start with 10 and add 2 seconds each week. If 20 seconds feels easy, progress by closing your eyes for the final 5 seconds of each hold. That removes visual input and forces your body to rely purely on the signals from your feet and inner ear. It is harder than it sounds. Now let us talk about number 3, and this is where we add rotation. Number 3 is standing torso twists. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart, knees slightly bent, arms relaxed at your sides or crossed gently over your chest. Slowly rotate your torso to the right as far as comfortable. Your hips stay facing forward. Only your rib cage and shoulders turn. Pause for 1 second, then rotate to the left. Move smoothly and controlled. No jerking. Do 10 twists per side. 20 total rotations. This takes about 60 seconds. Rotation is the forgotten movement. Most exercise programs for older adults focus on forward and backward motion, or up and down. But rotational strength is what protects your spine when you twist to look over your shoulder, reach across your body to grab something, or turn quickly because someone called your name. Without that capacity, the muscles and connective tissue around your lumbar spine become stiff and vulnerable. Sudden twists can cause muscle strains, ligament sprains, or in severe cases, compression fractures in vertebrae that have lost bone density. Data from spine specialists indicates that rotational injuries in older adults often occur during seemingly harmless activities, reaching into the back seat of a car, turning to pick up a grocery bag, twisting to pull weeds in the garden. These movements combine rotation with load, and if the muscles that stabilize your spine are weak or untrained, something gives. Standing torso twists train those stabilizers without adding load. The movement teaches your obliques, the muscles along the sides of your abdomen, to control rotation rather than letting momentum whip your spine around. It also mobilizes the thoracic spine, the middle section of your back that tends to stiffen with age. When your thoracic spine is mobile, your lumbar spine does not have to compensate, and that means less strain on the discs and joints that are already dealing with decades of wear. Margaret is 74, a retired accountant from Illinois. She was reaching into her car to grab her purse when she felt a sharp pop in her lower back. The pain was immediate and severe. An MRI showed a compression fracture in one of her lumbar vertebrae. Her doctor explained that the combination of twisting and reaching had overloaded a bone that had quietly lost density over the years. During her recovery, Margaret worked with a physical therapist who introduced standing torso twists as part of her rehab. The first week, she could barely rotate 10 degrees without discomfort. But after a month of daily practice, her range of motion improved, and more importantly, her confidence came back. She told me she had never thought about training rotation. It seemed like something that should just happen naturally. But now she understands that the body loses what it does not practice. Here is your protocol. Once a day, stand in your living room and perform 20 slow, controlled torso twists, 10 per side. Keep your hips stable and your movement smooth. If you feel any sharp pain, reduce the range of motion. The goal is not to twist as far as possible. The goal is to move through a comfortable range repeatedly so your nervous system learns to control that plane of motion. Over 4 to 6 weeks, your rotational mobility will improve, and daily activities that involve twisting will feel easier and safer. Now we move to number 2, and this one is going to challenge what you think exercise should look like. Number 2 is the static lunge hold. This is an isometric exercise, which means you hold a position without moving. Start by standing next to your counter or a sturdy chair for support. Step your right foot back about 2 feet, like you are taking a long stride. Keep your left foot flat on the ground and bend your left knee slightly. Your back heel will lift off the ground naturally. Your torso stays upright. Now lower your body until your left thigh is almost parallel to the ground, or as low as comfortable. You are not bouncing or pulsing. You are simply holding that position. Start with 10 seconds. Rest. Switch legs. Repeat twice per side. Total time is about 90 seconds. This might feel strange at first because you are not doing reps. You are not moving, but that is exactly the point. Isometric holds build strength in the exact ranges of motion where your muscles need to stabilize your joints. When you step off a curb or catch yourself mid-stumble, your muscles fire isometrically to stop unwanted movement. If those muscles are weak or untrained, your knee collapses inward, your ankle rolls, or your hip gives out. Research from sports medicine and orthopedic rehabilitation consistently shows that isometric training improves joint stability faster than traditional repetition-based exercises, especially in older adults who may have arthritis or previous injuries. The static lunge hold targets your quadriceps, glutes, and the small stabilizers around your knee and ankle. It also challenges your hip flexors and core to keep your torso upright. All of that happens while you are standing still. The lack of movement removes momentum, which means every bit of the load is managed by muscular contraction. Over time, this builds a resilient foundation that protects your joints during dynamic, unpredictable movements, the kind that happen in real life when you are not paying attention. James is 69, a retired firefighter from Colorado. He had always been strong. Even after retirement, he lifted weights twice a week and walked his dog every morning. But during a family hiking trip, he stepped onto a loose rock and his knee buckled. He did not fall, but the near miss scared him. His knee had felt unstable for a split second, like it was going to give out completely. His physical therapist introduced the static lunge hold as a way to rebuild knee stability. James was skeptical. He thought he needed more weight, more reps, something that felt like traditional strength training. But after 3 weeks of daily lunge holds, his knee felt solid again. He realized that his legs were strong in a gym environment with predictable movements, but they were not stable in the real world where surfaces shift and balance is constantly challenged. The lunge hold filled that gap. Here is your protocol. Every afternoon, step back into a lunge position beside your counter. Lower yourself to a comfortable depth and hold for 10 seconds. Rest for 20 seconds. Switch legs. Repeat twice per side. If 10 seconds feels too difficult, start with 5 and add 1 second per week. If 10 seconds feels manageable, progress to 15, then 20. Once you can hold 20 seconds per side without support, try the exercise in the middle of the room with your arms out for balance. That removes the safety net and forces your stabilizers to work even harder. Now we arrive at number 1. And this is the movement that surgeons wish every patient over 65 practiced daily. Number 1 is the step-up with pause. Find a sturdy step, a stair in your home, a low bench, or even a wooden box if you have one. The height should be somewhere between 6 and 8 inches to start. Stand facing the step. Place your right foot fully on the step. Now press through your right heel and lift your body up onto the step. Here is the critical part. At the top, pause for 3 seconds while standing on your right leg only. Your left foot should hover just above the step. Do not let it touch down. After 3 seconds, slowly lower yourself back to the ground, controlling the descent with your right leg. That is 1 rep. Do 5 reps on your right leg, then switch and do 5 on your left. Total time is about 2 minutes. This exercise mimics the exact biomechanics of the moment when most falls occur. You step up onto something, a curb, a stair, a threshold. For a split second, all your weight is on one leg, and your body has to stabilize in 3 dimensions. Your hip has to extend to lift you. Your knee has to stay aligned over your foot. Your ankle has to adjust to the new height, and your core has to keep your torso upright. If any of those systems fail, you lose balance, and that is when people grab for the railing, miss, and fall. Analysis from emergency departments shows that stair-related falls are one of the leading causes of injury in older adults, and the majority of those falls happen while going up, not down. Going up requires explosive strength and dynamic stability. Going down requires control, but the demand is lower because gravity is helping. The step-up with pause trains both strength and stability in the exact pattern your body needs to navigate stairs safely. But the benefits go beyond stairs. Every time you get up from a low chair, step into a bathtub, or climb into a car, you are performing a single leg step up. If that movement is weak or uncoordinated, those daily tasks become risky. The pause at the top of the movement is what separates this from a simple step up. The pause removes momentum and forces your muscles to stabilize the position. It trains your nervous system to manage load on one leg without compensation. Over weeks of practice, your brain learns to trust that leg, and that trust translates into confidence during real-world movements. Linda is 73, a former teacher from North Carolina. She has lived in the same two-story house for 40 years, and she has always been independent. But last winter, she started feeling anxious about the stairs. She would grip the railing tightly, take each step slowly, and sometimes she would stop halfway up to catch her breath, not because she was winded, but because her legs felt shaky. Her daughter noticed and suggested she see a doctor. The doctor ran tests. No cardiovascular issues. No neurological problems. The issue was strength and stability. Linda started practicing step-ups with a pause on the bottom stair of her staircase. 5 reps per leg every morning. The first week was humbling. She had to hold the railing for support, and even then she could barely pause for 1 second at the top, but she kept at it. By week 4, she was pausing for 3 seconds without support. By week 8, she was walking up and down her stairs with the confidence she had 20 years ago. She told me the exercise felt awkward at first, like it was too simple to make a difference, but it retrained her body to handle the exact movement that had been scaring her. Here is your protocol. Find a low step in your home. Every morning, perform 5 step-ups with pause on each leg. Press through your heel, not your toes. Pause for 3 seconds at the top with the opposite foot hovering. Lower slowly. If you need to hold a railing for balance at first, that is fine. Use light support and decrease it as you build strength. After 2 weeks, try 1 or 2 reps without holding anything. After a month, progress to a slightly higher step, 8 to 10 inches. After 2 months, you should be able to step onto a standard stair height, about 7 to 8 inches, with full control and no support. That level of capability is protective. It is the difference between navigating your home with confidence and living in fear of your own staircase. Let us take a step back and talk about why this 5-minute routine works when walking alone does not. Walking is linear. It trains your cardiovascular system and the muscles that move you forward, primarily your calves, hamstrings, and hip flexors. But it does almost nothing for lateral stability, rotational control, or single-leg balance. Those are the movement capacities that fail during falls. The 5 exercises we just covered address every plane of motion your body uses in daily life. Weight shifts train side-to-side stability. Single-leg stance builds automatic balance reflexes. Torso twists mobilize and strengthen rotation. The static lunge hold creates isometric strength in vulnerable joint positions. And the step-up with pause integrates everything into a functional movement pattern that mimics real-world demands. The entire routine takes 5 minutes. You can do it in your living room with no equipment. You do not need to change clothes or drive to a gym. You can perform it while watching the morning news or waiting for dinner to cook. The barrier to entry is almost zero, and the return on investment is enormous. Surgeons see the consequences of untrained movement patterns every day. Fractured hips, broken wrists, head injuries. Many of those injuries are preventable, not by walking more, but by training the specific capacities that keep you upright when something unexpected happens. This routine is not a replacement for walking. If you enjoy walking and it makes you feel good, keep doing it. But add these 5 exercises. Make them non-negotiable. 5 minutes every single day. The consistency matters more than the intensity. Your nervous system adapts to repeated practice, and over weeks and months, those adaptations become automatic. You will notice that you feel steadier on your feet. You will step off curbs with confidence. You will reach for things without thinking twice. And most importantly, you will reduce your risk of the kind of fall that changes everything. Let me leave you with one final thought. Aging does not mean accepting fragility. It means being smarter about how you move. The body you have at 65 or 70 or 80 is capable of remarkable adaptation, but it needs the right inputs. Walking is one input. These 5 exercises are another. Together, they create a complete movement practice that trains your body for the demands of real life, not just the treadmill or the sidewalk. You do not need to become an athlete. You just need to move in ways that matter. Now, it is your turn. Which one of these 5 exercises are you going to start with today, and what part of your daily routine will you attach it to so it actually happens? Drop your answer in the comments below. Let us build a community of people who are taking their mobility seriously and staying strong, stable, and independent for the long haul.